Hello buddy, it's Aim Guy here, and welcome to a new type of video that I don't usually do, but I figured we'd give it a shot. So, I just finished rewatching Thunderbolts for the second time yesterday, and I figured I'd give like a little review on it, because I feel that it would be the right thing to do. Kind of just because I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I feel like they've done relatively decent, although for the last few years they haven't. But Thunderbolts kind of gave me the inspiration to kind of start making some review videos, kind of just test the waters. I'm still going to be doing horror stuff like I always do, but I figured Thunderbolts would be a really good movie to see if people like this kind of content. I know it's popular on the indie space, well, not on the indie space, on YouTube where people make reviews of movies, and I figured this might be fun. So let's kind of just get started with it. Let's get into the good and then the bad and whatever. So this movie takes place with a bunch of rejects, agents type thing, with Ghost, Ava from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Yelena from Black Widow and Hawkeye, John Walker from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Taskmaster, Red Guardian, and Bucky. And then the main villain being Val and her assistant Mel. And then we also have the Sentry, which is introduced, which I thought they did really good. I'm not 100% sure with the Sentry because I've never really seen the comics. I'm kind of just a movie guy, so I haven't really seen the comics. But I know that they're really. I know that the comics have this guy named Sentry, which was introduced finally in the MCU. And he is badass, to say the least. He's a very scary kind of villain, but not really because in this movie, he's not really a villain or anything. He was manipulated by Val to fight the Thunderbolts or whatever, but he was done really well because he has like two sides to him. He has the Void, and then he has the Sentry, and the Void is the evil part of him, and the Sentry is the good part. Um, they did that really well. Um, let's just get into the main group of like anti-heroes, I guess. So Val ends up sending all of these guys because they all worked for Val in some way to get rid of any proof of the Sentry Project, which is how Sentry was created. Well, Sentry, they throw all these guys into a room to try to get rid of them because they're the final bit of evidence that would be used against her because she's trying not to get impeached by the U.S. government. So she ends up sending them into this room and, whatever. Um, and it's a really good fight scene that they have before they realize that Val clearly wanted them all dead because they are the last bit of evidence. And then, there's Bob, which is the Sentry, and he does a really good job. This whole this whole movie, everybody does good acting because this movie really has that mental health message in it, where there's a lot of mental health imagery and stuff like that that's going on inside the movie that make it really fascinating to see. And I really like this movie. I think this movie really handles the mental health stuff really well. That it just works. It really does. I really like how they do it because they basically, the big message is you're not alone, and they handle that so well because during the movie we notice that Bob is kind of like he feels all alone, like he has no one, like he doesn't have a purpose. Really, all of the Thunderbolts have this message of they've done bad things and they're trying to get redemption for the things they've done. One of the plot lines in here is Yelena trying to be a hero because her dad, Red Guardian, um, really wanted to be told her that maybe she should follow in Natasha's footsteps, which Natasha is obviously Black Widow, and they had a whole movie together. But I think that they really handled the mental health portion of this movie really well. Um, a lot of the fight scenes were really well choreographed, which I really appreciate. it does get a little slow when you're getting going and stuff, but it once it picks up, and it is a really good step in the right direction as far as the MCU. Um, I think it's like the first like actual good movie in the last like 2 years that they've done, where it feels like old school Marvel, which is good because I started getting into Marvel back in like 2018 or whatever, so I missed a lot of like the biggest things, but like I was really shown um like the differences between like phase 1 through 3 and phase 4 through 6. Definitely some differences there, and like with Thunderbolts, they really captured what it felt like back then. um it was good. I think that everybody did really good at acting and making this movie happen to feel like a good movie. There's a scene actually in like closer to like the end of the movie with Yelena, where she basically is angry at Red Guardian because he pretty much never reached out after Natasha died, and they all everybody else came back but Natasha, and he also was saying like, oh well, I didn't think you wanted me around. So it's things like that that just really kind of keep it going, and I really appreciate that. um let's get into some of like the kind of iffy stuff that I was kind of like, eh. um so one of my biggest gripes of this movie is I feel like a lot of the different characters, like Ghost, for example, I felt like was really underutilized, if that makes sense, because she didn't really feel like she was, there half the time. She feels like she was just in the scene. She wasn't really doing a whole lot, which is my gripe with a lot of these characters. It's like I feel like they haven't been doing a lot as far as characters go and stuff like that. Which is really unfortunate because Ghost is kind of a good character. I don't know. It's a really good character. Um so I mean, we have that going, and then really just like that's kind of like my worry with like the future Avenger films is where we had the announcement that there was going to be a bunch of characters in there, and I think this kind of proves that it's going to be really hard to give everybody kind of like their screen time to be able to shine, which is really unfortunate because there's a lot of good characters in that movie, which is very unfortunate. Let's see. I mean, there's really not much I can really say that is really bad about this movie because this movie was really good. I really liked it. I think it was really well put together. Let's talk about the post-credit scenes because those are really important. So the post-credit scene has to do with them becoming the new Avengers, which I really find a very interesting take because I didn't expect that the asterisk was going to mean that they were the new Avengers. But there is seeming to be some sort of rivalry between Sam Wilson, Captain America, and his Avenger team, and the new Avenger team, which is, of the Thunderbolts or whatever. And so this post credit scene is kind of them talking about there's a like interdimensional ship coming, which I find very interesting. And lo and behold, it's the Fantastic Four ship, um, which kind of pretty much indicates that their world is going to be destroyed by Galactus. We kind of figured that. I mean, Galactus is a big enemy or villain or whatever, and he's going to be a tough like fight. So I really like that. Like because that's what I mean by old school Marvel is it really felt like it was right there, and that was old school Marvel setting up the next thing. Although a lot of people have been theorizing, me included, that this isn't a post credit scene for like Fantastic Four. It's actually a scene directly ripped from Avengers Doomsday and is put at the end of the Thunderbolts because Joe Russo and Anthony Russo, the Russo brothers or whatever, they directed this certain post-credit scene, which I find very interesting. Along with them, also this being filmed on the set of Avengers Doomsday, so that's really cool. So it's definitely a scene directly from Avengers Doomsday, which means that you know this this is probably when the incursions are gonna start happening, and a lot of shit's gonna go down. But the point is that it's a really well done post credit scene. I'm definitely really excited for what they're going to do next because like the Thunderbolts was such a good movie and how they handle everything, it's just so well done. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's not really much I can say. Other than that, I really like the movie. I give it a solid like 9 out of 10. I think it was really well done. Probably one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. Probably even more than Spider-Man No Way Home, which is crazy because I really like Spider-Man No Way Home. I think it was a good movie. But yeah, I think this is definitely a good step in the right direction for Marvel as a whole. And I honestly cannot wait to see where they go from that. But that's kind of all I have for the review. Next thing I kind of want to touch on where I've been. Well, after a lot of stuff been going on in my life recently, I've just kind of been taking a step back from YouTube, not purposely, but kind of just accidentally, because I work overnight, so I don't really have much time to record because I either have to sleep or I have to work, and it sucks. It does. But I'm working on trying to get that situated and fixed so I can do YouTube again. And obviously, this is kind of a little bit easier because I'm pretty much just talking to you guys or whatever. But I'm going to try to get back into the swing of things, kind of get things set up and ready to go. As you can see, I have a new mic, so my quality of my audio is going to be a lot better, which I'm excited about. What else? What else? I mean, that's pretty much it, I guess. There's a lot to be coming. We have Secret of the Mimic next month, which I'm gonna be playing all the way through. Really excited for that. I don't know if there's any other games coming out this month. If there is, then I'll probably be playing them. A lot of fan games I'm gonna be playing coming up because I just figured, with how the indie scene is going recently, that there's not really a lot of stuff to play. But I feel that because we still have a long out way, still probably Playtime Chapter 5. Bendy the Cage got recently canceled for apparently it's just there was a lot of good mechanics in it. So that's happening. Dark Deception Chapter 5, God knows when that's coming out. Um what getting maybe Super Dark Deception Chapter 2, which should be coming out maybe by June if, Glowstick can get their shit together, I guess. I'll be playing that. Um Trying to think, what other games could be coming out this month that I would want to play? I don't really know, cause again, the big thing with the indie scene is that they're not. I might make a whole video on this about the indie scene, which I'm thinking about doing at some point. Maybe that could be a tomorrow video or something. I can talk about the indie scene and kind of how that's going. But other than that, I that's pretty much it. I will be back shortly. I'll be playing all sorts of different games, trying to get that daily upload schedule back. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this little review I have of the Thunderbolts, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.